to find out, especially our next guest, Eric Mitchell, a sports analyst and media expert, not to mention a die-hard 49ers fan. We'll forgive you. So great to see you. Thank you for being here.
You know, it's hard being a 49er fan living in Dallas, Texas, let me tell you. They're not huge fans of my football choices. So.
Well, you know what? Then you're a real fan, and I respect that. So the defending Super Bowl champs kicking off the season tonight, but the Kansas City Chiefs aren't favored to win it all this year. So which teams are you going to be keeping an eye on?
I'm never counting this Chiefs team out. I'm a huge Pat Mahomes fan, Travis Kelce fan. This team plays with a chip on its shoulder. They've won 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 appearances that they've been in. And the teams that they've lost to was Tom Brady and the amazing Buccaneers team. So let's not cut this team short. They're winning Super Bowls. They're always kind of the underdog because they are the old, which is funny to call Pat Mahomes old, but they're the old favorite. But I have like 5 teams that I'm telling everybody to watch. The Chiefs are on my list. The 49ers, of course. And then you're looking at the Bills and the Dolphins. And I think those are some amazing teams that are out there. Yes, the Bills and the Dolphins play together, but I think those 2 teams are just simply off the charts amazing and really doing amazing things out there with great quarterbacks. And they've almost always made it. And you can't count out the Bengals. All those teams have almost been there and made it to the show, but the Chiefs stood in their way. So it's going to be interesting. There's been a lot of changing of the guard going into the season. So I'm really excited. I know a lot of football fans cannot wait for tonight because now it's time.
Well, you know, to your point of changing of the guard, we're seeing a lot of old faces in new places this year. So who specifically are you watching? I know you said Mahomes.
Yeah. Well, Aaron Rodgers, we can't count out. I mean, we call him Old Man Rodgers because he's the only one we have left after Tom Brady left us. And now is standing on the sidelines, you know, teasing that he might come back, which we know he won't because he's with Delta and everybody else and maybe the Manning podcast. Joey Burrow, Josh, you know, over there in the Dolphins, Lamar Jackson, and let's not forget Josh Herbert, who plays down with the Chargers. Amazing young quarterbacks leading teams that are fresh, have this new outlook, and it's kind of changing the guard from running backs to wide receivers. That's what you're seeing across the board. A more fast-paced, fun NFL with these young players that are kind of modeled after the great Patrick Mahomes. But Aaron Rodgers with that fresh blood going to the Jets and breathing life into a fan base that believes they're going to win like Raider fans every year. They start that out that this is their year. And by October, we've traditionally, like the Raiders, have seen that they're already done with those ideas and they plan for it next year.
I have a friend who's a Jets fan, and I'm always thinking of him. So this is the first time in 20 years we are watching an NFL season with no Tom Brady. Which quarterbacks do you think will be carrying that type of star power, if any?
I hate to repeat his name, but we're going to do it again. It's a theme here.
All right.
Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's the MVP, but you got to remember, you know, you have Tua down there with the Dolphins. That's a great young team. Yes, he had a lot of concussion issues last year. Really worked on that during this offseason. That's a young, talented team. Joey Burrow coming off that calf injury, but I think he's going to be good. The Bills, they just have so many standouts. And Lamar Jackson signed that big contract during the offseason, and that Ravens team, they play with a chip on their shoulder, and you can't count Lamar Jackson out. And it's wide open in the NFC where Aaron Rodgers left, right? The Bears and of course, you got the Vikings and the Packers. They're kind of trying to figure it out. And of course, the Eagles. We can't count out that team that almost won the Super Bowl. That Eagles team is going to try to make a run on the NFC. And I think the Niners are the only team that's really going to stand in their way.
Well, we'll have to see. I spent 4 years in Kansas City. Chiefs Kingdom is very kind, I will say that. So the Washington Commanders, under new ownership this season, are there high expectations for a big franchise rebrand there?
Absolutely. Let's just say this. So thankful for that fan base. I have a lot of friends who are Commanders fans, and they're so excited to be rid of that toxic cloud that stood over them, not as their team, but as that ownership. They have fresh blood. They want to win. The ownership just came out and said, hey, we're here. We want to win. We're going to do what it takes to win. And what's funny is we're talking about the Commanders. There's actually a petition going around that has a lot of signatures to change their name back to the Redskins. Could you imagine them changing their name back after being the Redskins, then being the Washington football team, and the Commanders for a season going back? It's such a mess, but it doesn't matter. They have new ownership that doesn't have a toxic cloud. I'm so happy for their fan base. It's going to be great to have, when you talk about the Commanders, talking about the talent on the field, not that toxic cloud that was that ownership group.
Oh, that is wonderful to hear. New energy heading into a new season. Eric Mitchell, thank you so much for the breakdown.
Thank you.